would sit, so say goodbye to everything you ever knew before. And I'd understand if you went running out the door. And I'll keep you safe, and no harm will ever come to you, I swear. And I'll kill if they even dare. I'll kill, I swear.
Testing, testing. Boots gotta go pee.
I'm gonna pee like a racehorse.
Where did that saying come from? Hey, the
Did you ever see a
Kentucky Derby.
racehorse pee?
I've seen a horse. Yeah, actually, I have seen a racehorse pee.
There you go.
And the Kentucky Derby's coming up, I do believe.
doing it.
Hey, Boot drinks beer that's light in the loafers. He's drinking his spring beer. We like to call it Natty Light. Some people like to call it piss water. I'm just saying. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, Mr. Boot.
Yes, it is, Your Highness.
You look great in your little blue cardigan sweater. You get that from MrRogers.com?
No, I didn't. But yes, it is a beautiful day. And,
spring is trying to spring here in Michigan. We had a great 420 weekend. Lots of live music. Lots of 420 for me.
Yep, Your Highness. So what are we talking about today?
Well, you're listening to Michigan Murders and Music, where we talk about murder, but we leave you with a happy ending and on a good note.
Always a happy ending. Yep.
Boot, someone is listening from a land far, far away. We have someone listening from Colorado, and I don't even think it's my cousin Andrew. This week's shout-out goes to Julie H. from Fort Collins.
Julie H., yes, thank you.
She is actually originally from our beautiful state of Michigan, but then fell in love with the beautiful state of Colorado. We can't blame her there.
You know, I could really appreciate Colorado.
Yeah. Julie also says that her best friend Wendy is my doppelganger. That's just scary shit right there.
I think I would like Wendy.
I'm sorry.
If she's like you at all.
Julie, I'm sorry that you have to have a friend like me. She's like, if she's like the Tasmanian devil or, oh my God. Anyways, thank you from the bottom of our hearts for listening. That's just huge for me.
Yes.
Boop probably doesn't care as much as I do, but...
Thank you, Julie.
What do we have?
Oh, so now we do have the explicit warning. Your Highness, what kind of concerns do we have here?
I may or may not swear.
Yeah.
But we're also talking about murder and gruesome things and drugs besides the weed that I smoke.
And sometimes
Her
Highness says naughty words and...
It's not my fault. Hey, and I'm just saying, if you find a dog pelt hanging from your bathroom towel rack, it's totally not our fault.
Oh my God,
it's not our fault.
Disturbing.
It's because you let them listen to our disturbing podcast. So please, don't let your kid listen to.
Please.
Where are we going to, Boot?
Cadillac, Michigan.
Best Salt Mania is what I'm calling this one.
It's crazy. It was a thing for a while.
It was. And ultimately, there's no answer yet to this one. Before bath salts had arrived, Cadillac was already riddled with the opiate thing happening, the heroin and the opiate drug over-the-counter and methamphetamine. Yeah. It was crazy up there. Bath salts came to dominate the drug scene in Cadillac in 2013, bringing along with it paranoia and hallucinations. The world actually learned about bath salts in 2012 when we heard about an incident in Miami, Florida, when a 31-year-old man attacked and chewed the face of a 65-year-old homeless man. I think we all remember that shit. It was
it was all
over the news. And of course, we all joked about it because that's pretty fucked up.
That's just raw.
Like
who?
Really? And there actually, I didn't put this in there, but there was also another one where a guy, I think this was in Florida also, he had eaten bath salts and became a dog. He thought he was a dog, and he went and I don't even know how bath salts are intaked. How they take them? You can take them all kinds of ways. You can ingest them. You can smoke them.
I don't get it.
So, was just kind of coming to Cadillac in 2013 and was really taking hold of the small town, unfortunately. The drug existed in a sort of legal gray area because it was kind of like a new thing. It was bath salts. I mean...
You can't classify them as a drug.
They weren't prepared to, because who would have thought people would start taking fucking bath salts, for Christ's sakes? So
Are
will
kids
you
still
please...
eating the Tide balls?
I don't... God, for
Whatever
fuck's sakes, why can't you just stick with weed?
I know.
Just smoke pot.
Something simple.
And if your pot isn't
beer.
strong enough, go get stronger pot. Or dabs or tabs or whatever. Can you tell us what bath salts are actually made of?
So, it's a weird thing. Bath salts are made of a synthetic chemical, and their effects include agitations, paranoia, hallucinations, chest pain, increased pulse, and high blood pressure, and suicidal thinking, which is a recipe for really bad things.
A recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
In the summer of 2013, the streets of Cadillac became a little wacko. The police actually had to deal with people running down the streets naked. People were injuring themselves and hallucinating. They were delusional. They were paranoid. This is not funny.
It's not funny.
It's not funny, but it's fucking
weird.
Funny.
It's so
I can't help but to think, like,
weird.
What if we were just on one of our random drives that we go on
and
all
we
the
were to see
time,
that?
and we were just to see someone streaking
it's crazy.
through town like it was the 70s. That would just be crazy.
Mm-hmm.
He said there was a lot of zombie-like people in town. It's just nuts. It's nuts.
Yeah.
This is about the time we learn about the death of James. I don't want to use his last name.
Yeah.
Because I still feel like he's somewhat of a victim. And there have really been no answers in this.
So he disappeared in July.
July 6th.
Yep.
2013.
I'm sorry. Well, yep, 2013.
His body wasn't found until 2 months later in the woods outside of town. He was hung in the woods by a hose. I'm really sorry that's such a harsh way to put it, but there's just simply no good way to say it. James was found by a woman and her nephew who were walking near the White Pine Trail near Lansing Street. What can you tell us about the White Pine Trail for those who aren't from Michigan?
The White Pine Trail is a very long stretch of trail. It's a linear state park, which goes basically from Grand Rapids to well north of Cadillac.
Yeah, what they did is take the old railroad tracks that were not being used anymore, and they've paved the majority of it, and some of it's not, but it goes a long way. So it's an old railroad way, basically, that's been reused for these biking and walking trails. James's death was initially ruled a suicide. Makes total sense at first. He's in the woods by himself, hung by a hose. But let's talk a little bit about James's past and why they were so quick to jump at the suicide ruling.
Yeah, James was a very smart kid.
As a kid, James did get into a lot of schoolyard fights, and because of that, he had to be enrolled into a military academy, which is where he graduated high school by the age of 16.
Yeah.
However, because he had racked up some misdemeanors before he got put into military school, they wouldn't allow him to go into the military.
He was a bit of a problem child.
Yeah.
Smart, but social issues.
Had to be totally smart if he graduated military academy by 16. Here we are, James is 16. He's done with school now. He's an adult in his eyes, and his mom doesn't know what to do with him. So he moves in with an older crew of kids called Lake City Boys.
Yeah, I don't even know what that is.
Well, I'll just say that there's a lot of lake crews. Some of them are good, some of them are bad. We got the Blue Lake crew. They're not too shabby. I'm just giving a little shout out to my homies.
I don't even know what that is.
I know you don't.
Okay.
It's an inside joke from the past. That's when James got into hard drugs and more arrests followed. James ended up in prison before age 20 for assaulting jail guards, and other prison stints followed. He was released in 2013.
That's only 7 years ago.
I know, isn't it weird?
At the time of this recording.
Yeah. That's nutso. After that, police had more run-ins with James before his death that indicated suicidal tendencies.
I don't know. You think he was really suicidal?
He was involved in a standoff with police at a cabin on June 19 when he held a knife to his wrist and threatened to kill himself. An officer talked James down and convinced him to turn himself in.
So twice his mom attempted to convince the police that James should be committed because she was concerned that he was self-destructive and he would quite possibly kill himself.
And he was having erratic behavior. I think she knew he was on drugs. Actually, as recently as July 4th, 2014, so just a few days before he went missing, she had pleaded with officers to arrest her son and take him to a hospital and allow her to have him committed.
Yeah.
So here we are. Okay, if the military would have taken him in, none of this would have happened. If the police would have listened to his mom, or we had some sort of...
This wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, so much wouldn't have happened. So a few times our system has failed him.
Well, side note, if someone is consistently calling the police, it's like the kid who cries wolf.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
I do know what you're saying.
It's a thing. Police are like, oh, it's them again.
Yes,
okay.
We've had personal experience, not with us being the them again.
Yeah.
We may or may not have neighbors who have the police called on them quite frequently.
Right.
So on July 6th, which was thought to be James's final day, a farmer found him in his hunting blind just outside of Cadillac, and he accused James of trespassing and told him to leave, and so James did. He left. He walked several miles from the hunter's blind to the woods where his body was eventually found. Now, the cops said obviously James was struggling with drug addiction. The police officer said all of his friends have a common thread. They are all entrenched in a history of drug abuse. So prior to his disappearance, loved ones watched bath salts tear James apart. His mom begged him to stop doing that stuff. His sister had said she'd never seen him like that before, and actually...
Sister, I feel bad for her watching him go...
You can't do anything about it sometimes.
You can't.
She actually said that his bath salts addiction made his morphine habit look benign.
Horrible.
It is god-awful.
Yeah.
The bath salts kind of deepen the mystery of James's disappearance, and this is the one thing that makes me question all of it.
Here we go.
This is the golden ticket. I don't know what the fuck to call it.
What are you thinking?
Well, on the 4th of July, now remember, he disappeared on July 6th. On the 4th of July, he was talking to his sister, and he was really upset about something. And she said, I don't know if it's real or not because of the drugs he was on. He was really upset that somebody was after him.
Sounds like paranoia, part of the side effects of the bath salt.
He said somebody was after him, and then he said they. So, it could be the paranoia of the bath salt, or it could be...
Well, he probably got himself into a bit of mischief.
A little bit of a jam.
Yeah. People quite possibly were after him.
I think a lot of people, before he was on bath salts, tons of his friends said he was a great, kind person, but when he was on bath salts, he became someone else. We've seen that happen.
Oh, yeah. We've
like the dog we talked about. His sister knew, actually his friend knew, I don't know.
All right, who knew?
People fucking knew that they were giving James bath salts in exchange for his muscle. They were paying him in drugs to assault people, to collect money, and to do these things. And they even stated that they created something that they couldn't control.
That's so messed up. They were giving him...
Basically, the dealers are just...
Stuff.
Yeah.
The stuff, just so that
to be their thug.
Yes.
And then once they got him to do all that stuff, he became a monster that even they couldn't control. He just got out of control with it. Everybody was afraid of James because he had started losing it. Even his drug dealers, his people, he started snapping. His mom really didn't believe the suicide thing, despite the fact that she knows he had drug
So
problems.
what mom would ever want to really
Yeah, nobody wants to believe that.
think that? Yeah.
But she'd also talked to people that said that they saw her son alive later that day in Cadillac. So July 6th, people say that he was seen in Cadillac later on that day when he was supposedly already dead.
I think it's other meth heads or bath salt heads that saw him. Yeah, because who else is out that late at night?
Yeah.
You know, and in Cadillac especially, there's nothing open.
Exactly,
so
and like
just
the police
those
said,
people.
they really couldn't believe any of the sources because all of the sources were such drug-riddled people that they couldn't rely on any of the witnesses. The mom believes, based on sources from the drug world, that her son wound up with a group of people at the Hampton Inn that evening. Later, he was seen leaving with a couple, and he was last seen going into the woods with a couple of people.
The woods. That place, that whole area up there is woods. Yeah.
The White Pine Trail goes through woods.
A lot of woods.
And then every so often, a little tiny town. And then more woods. Lots of woods.
Lots of woods.
She thinks that the three of them went into the woods and the two of them came out. The mom believes the two people attempted to get him to overdose, and when that failed, she believes that people served as outlooks and that the two of them went into the woods and hung him. They wanted him out of the picture because he was out of control, and people believed he was a snitch. You don't ever become a snitch. Your ass is grass. No. I mean, that's 101. Right there.
And people know immediately if you're doing that.
Sure. A town that tiny, even now it's tiny.
Yeah, it is.
So while her son was missing, people told her a couple of things. Some people told her that he was alive in Ohio.
Why Ohio?
I don't know.
That's
what
weird.
A great place to go, right? Others told her that if they searched the woods in that general area, that she would find him. But
all right, so there's some mixed
there's
stories here.
no evidence that she went to search the woods after she found that out.
Well, Mom's busy, you know.
Dude, if someone told me my kid's in the woods X amount of miles off a White Pine Trail and he's been missing for 2 days or whatever.
Oh, I'd go looking.
Fuck yeah, I'd go looking. I don't give a shit if it's 2 o'clock in the morning.
But you know the sources.
Yeah. You still have to go look and rule it out.
At that point.
You have to rule that out. I don't care who the tip came from. If it was a crackhead on the corner that was homeless, he probably sees more than the neighbor that sits in their house all day.
Yeah.
So, like I said, investigators were a little challenged because all the witnesses were druggies. James' case was reopened in March of 2014 due to his mom's persistence.
Mm-hmm. An autopsy concluded earlier that the death was suicide. As an autopsy conducted earlier,
there's too many 50 centers.
The death was
such big words. Fuck. My turn. When he died, said he committed suicide, but later on they realized
that it was
undetermined. We got it out without any 50-cent words. We don't need those big words in our podcast.
Why
Who are we trying to be anyways? I must have been feeling smart for a second. I'm so fancy.
You don't even know.
You don't even know.
So we've talked about this in every state, every single small-ass town.
Shit gets fucked up, and it's a small town, so shit's intertwined, right? They reopen the investigation due to the change in the ruling of the non-suicide on the death certificate, right? They go out to talk to a potential witness. Now, this is a few years later, so they're hoping maybe this witness isn't so much of a bath salt's head anymore.
Oh my God, they're all fucked up, messed up.
They go out to this witness house to ask him questions about James' case, and they end up finding stolen goods from a recent
and meth-making materials.
Burglary.
What the heck?
burglary items and meth-making materials.
When he burgled things, do you
Which
think he was wearing a
means-
mask like that?
Oh,
with
and
that
a
eyeballs cut out?
Yeah.
A striped
and
shirt.
Striped shirt.
You
And
have to.
And you know that he had Walter White like goggles and underwear for his meth making procedure. Yeah. There must have been thousands of boxes of Sudafed in his house.
Mm-hmm.
He was arrested. Nobody else was at the cabin at the time. They were not able to link him to James's death.
Mm.
The cabin is actually one of several rustic type cabins that are rented out for beautiful seasonal recreational, Michigan type things.
Yeah, we know about those places.
It's actually not known as a
They're
trouble
very nice.
spot. The cabin grouping is across the street from Cheryl's Landing, a popular lakeside breakfast and restaurant. Go check them out next time you're up in the big Cadillac.
Oh, they're very nice, really, for
They're
real.
Good place. Officers are, I hate how I say officers. Will you say it, please?
Officers.
There's too many S's in there for me.
Okay, so the officers are still investigating. James' death is very suspicious. The officers are unable to say whether foul play was involved or not.
James' mom still actively posts on the Facebook page dedicated to her son, Drugs and All Dreams, R.I.P. James W. Strobel.
You weren't going to say his last name.
I wasn't, but I went onto the site.
That's him.
She's really advocating to try to stop heroin use. She still posts frequently, and as a mom, my heart just goes out to her. Like, I can't fathom losing a child. Fathom losing a child to drugs, to suicide, to nothing. Nothing. Can't fathom it. So, we've made jokes about the bath salt thing. It's not a laughing matter in the end. There's a great site called recovery.org. It gives you things to look for in people that you love and know, signs to look for. It gives you help if you are somebody who needs help. Fuck, if you need help, get a hold of me, for Christ's sakes. I'll talk to you. I can't help you financially, but I'll be here to talk to you. If you know anything about this murder, give the Cadillac Police Department a call. Post on that site. Do something anonymously. Help the family. Don't fucking do heroin. For fuck's sakes, don't do bath salt.
Yeah.
Just stick with weed, man. It's legal now. If it's not making you happy, just smoke more of it. What do you think, Boo? Murder? Suicide?
Undetermined. It's a whole mess. I don't think we have enough information here.
It was difficult to find very much information. I do appreciate the news articles that were out there. He was such a good-looking guy, too. Just a handsome young man.
Once you get messed up with drugs, though, anything goes. Especially
sometimes it's not even just drugs. We've talked about the mental stability of people, and
yes,
you can try all you want to help them sometimes, and
you can't.
You can't. So anyway,
sometimes it's just alcohol that drags people right down into the grave.
Alcohol should not have a just before it. I think that there's just so many things. Anyways, very dark-hearted. My heart goes out to his mom. Anyway, what's our happy ending? Wait, I'm going to say that again because I don't like to sing on here. What's our happy ending, Boot?
Talk like that, you weirdo. Our happy ending tonight is a band called the Holy Warheads.
The Holy what?
Yeah, I have seen them. Your Highness, you seen them?
I've most definitely seen them. The band consists of Joseph Henry. He's on vocals, and he has tight vocals with really good lyrics.
Yep, very strong voice. Ivan Hanna on guitar. Kevin Kiefer, we know him. He's been in another band that we have featured, and I'm sorry. He's a great bass player. Kevin Kiefer on bass. Sometimes bands are interactive. Yeah. Incestuous. I said interactive. And we have Brent Riva. Brent Riva on the goddamn drums. Yep. Brent Riva hits the skins quite tightly, and a great guy. They're all great guys. It's a harder
rock music.
Yeah.
Not necessarily my taste per se, but they are tight.
Oh, they're
they
tight.
will melt your face off, and even if it's not your taste, you will enjoy their live show.
Absolutely.
Don't you think?
I love those guys.
You can find them...
And I love just hanging out with them when we get a chance.
Yeah, they're good guys.
Every once in a while.
You can find them on Bandcamp. You can find them on Facebook. You can find them on
Everyone's on Facebook.
Instagram. You could probably find them on SoundCloud. I don't know, all the places. With that, I'm going to ask you guys very kindly to take 2 minutes to rate us. It's stupid, but it moves us up the charts in some weird algorithmic way, and it would be greatly appreciated. This is the Holy Warheads.
Here we go.
Have a great night.